you want to finish. I'm going to use this whole thing in the show. You eating. This is what a real professional is doing. We can't start the Mike Garafolo show yet because he's eating.
Go. You do the whole intro.
What are you eating? All right. God, stop yelling at me. You're like my wife. God almighty. Mike Garafolo, our NFL insider, connoisseur of a fine sandwich from the NFL Network. He joins us every Thursday, 1 o'clock, brought to you by Hartley and Hartley Insurance, your trusted family-owned insurance experts in the Puget Sound since 1978. I'll drag this on. Honesty, fairness, integrity. Contact Jamie when he's not playing golf at 253-565-8700. Also, Zogs on Fox Island, perfect spot to grab a cold beer, hang out with friends, catch the old ball game. Enjoy the Northwest summer on their great outdoor patio. Zogs on Facebook, Instagram for their new summer hours. Mike is on social media, on Twitter at Mike Garafolo, and on Instagram at Mike_Garafolo. Puck Sports Studios inside here, built by Limback Lumber. What kind of sandwich you having?
Turkey. Just turkey and turkey, wheat bread, lettuce, tomato, onion.
Look at you.
Pepper, mayo. Did I say mayo? I said mayo.
Yeah, just nice and simple, huh?
That's nothing better when they make it the right way.
Yeah, nothing better. Now, we catch you in the car, that means one thing, and you got the Callaway hat on. Somebody's got a golf lesson.
Yep.
Yeah. What are we working on this week?
I don't know. Whatever came apart in the last 2 weeks of not touching a club while I was at every training camp ever. I was listening to, and I don't know what his reason was, but I was listening to Greg Giannotti, WFAN here in New York.
Yeah.
And apparently he hadn't touched a club for 2 weeks, and had to have a pep talk with himself, like just relax. remember how to do it, and remember what it feels like,
Oh,
so I'm gonna go in, and he's, my instructor's gonna be like, so what do we want to fine tune today?
Yeah, just
cocktails.
Cocktails.
Let's get up in the air.
Yeah, cocktails what solves everything there with your golf game. Hey, it's been busy. I mean, you and we've been doing this off season. There hasn't been much going on like the last couple of months, but it's just, training camp's underway now. The Seahawks are doing a joint practice with the Titans. They've got their second preseason game that's coming up this weekend. I love the idea of joint practices. I think it's a great idea that Mike Macdonald has done. The reports coming out this week was that they unveiled a lot more of their offense and their defense in this joint practice because there's no tape of it other than what they're going to have, and I guess what the Titans are going to have, but they're not playing the Titans this year. God, it's been a newsy week though. I don't know where you want to start first. I mean, let's go with the ongoing soap opera that is this Brandon Aiyuk story. My God, like what's the latest? Is he going to stay or is he going to go? What do we got?
We're waiting on, anybody can make a decision at any point, right? Except the Steelers, who are in pretty much wait and see mode. But the 49ers can decide to trade him to Pittsburgh, and that'll pretty much be done. He'll be a Pittsburgh Steeler. Aiyuk can accept the offer that's on the table right now, which is not to his liking, but close. Or the 49ers can say, all right, Brandon, we'll make the final couple adjustments that you want us to make, and that deal will be done. So those are we're waiting on. Two of the options are the 49ers making a move. One of the options is Brandon Aiyuk making a move. So whose ball is the court, or whose court is the ball in? Both, except for the Steelers. So those are the three parties at play. The 49ers feel like they have already caved enough and caved more than they wanted to. They have come up significantly from their offer in the spring. My reporting is that they are pretty much agreed to over the first 3 years of the deal, which is usually the hard part. That's the guarantee, the cash flow, the APY over the first couple of years, average per year, and that Aiyuk just wants a Aiyuk just wants an adjustment in the final year of the deal, which is not guaranteed. It's that year is never guaranteed. And we've seen a lot of wide receivers and agents put big numbers in that last year to inflate the average per year. It doesn't sound like that's exactly what he wants there. More of a meaningful adjustment to that year, but still not guaranteed and something that the 49ers could walk away from. And that's where the standoff is right now. So it's, I've called it uncomfortable and contentious at times. I think it's still that. But it's really close to being done. That's why the 49ers have said, we're not going to make a move and trade him away because we feel like we could still get this deal done.
But I think you mentioned it there, but his preference, Aiyuk's preference all along has been to stay there.
Yes, to stay in San Francisco.
Okay.
It's exactly why Debo made a trade request, because the deal wasn't to his liking. And it's like, well, I want to, if you're not going to pay me what I want to get out of here. Then it's a trade request. It's not like trade me because I hate it here. It's trade me because you guys just aren't like, I need to put pressure on you. Let me go out and find my market, which is part of the reason why he's holding firm on his contract demands right now, because there were teams that were willing to throw a boatload of cash at him. And he's saying, well, you asked me to go out there and find my market. I found my market. You got to meet that market now. That's Brandon Aiyuk's stance, where the 49ers are saying, hey, we still got you under contract and we've got the franchise tag. Like, we could have you for 2-3 more years here.
What gets lost in this, and for me is lost with this whole drama with Aiyuk, Mike, is the situation with Trent Williams. Like, it almost feels like Trent Williams is like on the back burner right now because so much attention has been focused on Brandon Aiyuk. Get us up to speed on what the latest with Trent Williams is.
They have tried to get this done. They're not at a point where, and I still think it's up against the start of the season where it creates that pressure for both sides to get something done. But they are not at that point where Trent Williams is comfortable with. Now, Kyle Shanahan came out and said, "Oh boy, I'm confident in that one. I'm completely confident that something gets done there," which did not match what the private conversation was. So I don't know where that confidence comes from. I mean, I guess he figures, in the end something will get done there. Whereas with Brandon Aiyuk, he's been kind of a wild card because he's kind of flip-flopped and changed his mind on a few things. So, yeah, I still think it gets done before week 1, but I mean, here we are on August 15th. There's still some time if he wants to drag it out.
What's the ripple of, going back to Aiyuk for a second? What's the ripple effect for the Niners financially with retaining Aiyuk? Does someone become expendable then?
Well, I mean, I think they'll have to make a decision at some point between Aiyuk and Debo, and if Aiyuk gets his contract, I mean, it's going to be guaranteed, and you would think that they're going to have to make a tough decision on Debo Samuel at some point or find a way to restructure to make it work, because you've got the Purdy deal potentially coming up after the season. But I think their biggest issue here is precedent, right? Like, this guy basically held us hostage and got exactly what he wanted, and we caved every step along the way. Like, they want to push back at some point and say, you can't win everything on this contract negotiation. And to his credit, Aiyuk is saying, sure I can. Watch me.
Well, but didn't they already set the precedent with Debo Samuel? Are they doing it again?
Well, Debo's deal was in line with the wide receiver market at the time. Like, this one's going to be above Amon-Ra St. Brown, potentially. Well, I mean, it depends. I mean, if he goes to Pittsburgh, it's going to be less money. But, the difference between, from what I'm told, California state tax is 13%. Pennsylvania is 3%. That's what was relayed to me. I know it's much more. I don't know if it's exact. I don't know if my numbers are exactly right there. But I do know it's much more. So let's throw a number out there and say it's, 70 million over 3 years on both deals. He's going to be taking $7 million less to stay in California than he would in Pennsylvania. So that's why he also feels like the Niners kind of have to come up a little bit higher, because and San Francisco and some of these other teams like the Jets and the Giants, they hate that. They hate to hear, like, why? It's not our policy. Why do we have to suffer because of, state politics? And we don't play that game. Our offer is our offer. So that's kind of part of the dance that's going on right now, too.
What the Hassan Reddick just saga? I mean, again, he wants out of Philadelphia, he gets a trade. He goes to New York, and now there's some back and forth. Did the Jets say, hey, yes, we'll get you a new deal? and they're like, no, we didn't promise you a new deal. And now, I mean, he has been in the facility, I believe, one time, correct? And that was just to take the physical, and that's it. I mean, how long do you think that this goes? I mean, if he's done it this long, Mike, I would assume he's willing to drag it into the season.
Yeah, this one always felt all along as, to me, the most likely to drag into the regular season, just because it sounded like he was so dug in, and he felt like, he's about halfway to the top of the edge rusher market, 14 million or whatever it is, and needed to get much closer to that, and the Jets made him an offer before the trade. Now, look, I have made the point, and I'll stand by this, that both sides could have done things differently. Hassan Reddick could have said, I'm not taking the physical. I'm not going to the Jets until this deal is done. So Eagles don't trade me until it's done, because, and the Jets could have been like, okay, fine. But the Jets executed on the deal without having that deal in place, which is where they misstepped, and something that Howie Roseman on the other side of this deal would never have done. I mean, we've seen him before make the deals, A.J. Brown being one of them, where the deal was done immediately as soon as the trade was done. And in this case, the Jets just decided, well, we'll figure it out, right? And once Reddick started holding out, the Jets' approach was and has been and continues to be, we will negotiate with you, but you got to come back to camp. Like, we're not going to send you stuff, but you come back, we've got a nice offer waiting for you. And Reddick's like, yeah, I don't know if I believe that. And so it's a standoff in that regard. And I feel like, again, this was always, to me, the one that felt most likely to drag into the regular season. And now, given how dug in both sides are and how public it's gone for both sides, I think that, we got that potential for sure.
Have you seen a shift in the players here recently? I mean, probably in the last 5 years. It feels very more NBA player empowerment movement.
Yeah, but I think that well, I go back to Emmitt Smith's holdout years ago, and you guys, you had Cam Chancellor, who held out, I believe, 2 games into the season. So it's kind of always been there. I just feel like now, maybe it's a little bit more like they've got more tools at their disposal now with the social media, and they stripped the team off the social media, so they could take these things more publicly and maybe get the public more on their side. I also think that maybe more people are aware of, the fact that these owners are making. You've seen the pushback on the stadiums, right?
Yeah.
And the public versus the private funding for the stadiums. So I think more people are understanding that, this player's being greedy. Okay, would you rather that money stay in the billionaires' hands, right? I think more people are more in tune to that now, and they've got aggressive agents. They've got agents that now, feel like they can push the envelope a little bit more. So I think that's kind of.
Do you think the Matthew Judon, because it's kind of a similar thing, he gets a trade to Atlanta, but again, no deal. I mean, a similar thing is going to happen with Judon in Atlanta?
Everybody's saying the same things that we said around the Hassan Reddick trade. Like, no deal done, but we expect to have one in the near future. And it's like, are we not? And we'll see. I mean, but maybe by the time this is posted, the deal is done. But they at least have a general sense for what it's going to take to get done. At least had when the deal was done. So, I'm going to sit here and say, that sounds like they feel like they're comfortable that a deal is going to get done, but we said the same things about Reddick, so we'll see.
What about a deal for our quarterback out here in Seattle? What about Geno Smith? Is there any rumblings at all about anything being done for him?
They've talked about it. They've tried to talk about it. I know that. That's been something that's been broached this offseason. So, could it be something that gets done before week 1 and is addressed by the team in some kind of, a lot of times a situation like this with kind of incentive package or something like that. But no, I mean, I don't sense that anything's imminent, but a lot of players raise the issue a lot of times throughout the course of the off season, try to get something done. We'll see.
When you say they, are Smith's camp or the Seahawks?
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't sound like something the Seahawks are. Why are you laughing?
I just watched it because I know when I was asking and I was like, well, of course it's going to be Smith's camp. I was laughing at myself for a dumb question.
It's all right. So
Smith's camp.
Sometimes the dumbest questions get decent answers.
What do you think the Smith's camp would want?
I have no idea. I'd be guessing. I don't know. But I mean, look at what's the number for him? 25.
Yeah, around there.
And now it was a 3-year, $75 million deal, right? And the last year, I'm trying to remember, or only the first year was guaranteed.
It's not guaranteed next year.
So, yeah, I mean, it's look at where the market has gone. I mean, 25 is the lower tier of starting quarterback money. We're double that, more than double that right now for the top tier. Not to say that he's in the top tier, but you know how players think. There's one of 32. I'm a starting quarterback. Look at what all the starting quarterbacks are making. Why am I not in that? Yeah. So
how devastating. I mean, just speaking of quarterbacks, the J.J. McCarthy thing, it didn't seem like it was going to be that serious.
Yeah.
You hear meniscus, like, oh, it's meniscus. You clean it up and you're fine. But, I mean, God, the whole season?
You know what it reminded me of? Mike Trout. Mike Trout said he was, he was running or he was in the field. I think he was running the bases. Felt a little something, thought nothing of it, then was out in the field and was running in and was like, yeah, wait, that's a little bit, So to go from what McCarthy sounded like he was just feeling like it was nothing, and able to play through it, from that to season ending, like that happened quickly. But once he went in for the surgery, you never know, especially with a young player, especially with a quarterback. You never know which way it's going to go. They got to open it up, take a look at the meniscus and say, hey, because there's two, just to be clear about this, there's two ways of going about this. You trim the damaged part of the meniscus, but that goes away. You trim it and it's gone. You take it out. When you repair it, you don't lose any of the cartilage. And so for a younger player, I remember the Giants years ago with Osi Umenyiora, their defensive end, who had a couple of times had a meniscus issue. They decided to repair it. He got injured in the preseason. I remember they were saying this is the best decision for the player for the long haul because it retains all his cartilage. The problem is it's a longer recovery.
Hey, lastly, real quick, back to Smith. Do you think did the Seahawks, if they had, informal conversations about an extension, did the Seahawks seem open to it? Did you get a sense? Have you gotten a sense of that, or is this something where let's just see how this year goes out and we can revisit it later?
No, it didn't. Yeah, it didn't seem like it was imminent on their part or whatever. But again, a lot of times this is something where you could do it before week one. You feel like, okay, the guy's done a nice job in the preseason. Yeah, and I don't know if it's an extension or if it's a juggling of money or whatever it is, or maybe it's nothing. Maybe they just sit there and go, no, listen, we signed you to this deal. Play well this year, and if you're going into the last year of the deal, maybe we can revisit it at that point. So, yeah, I just never got the sense, or don't get the sense here on August 15th that anything is imminent, but it's been mentioned along the way.
All right, you're the best. Mike Garafolo, every single Thursday. We release episodes at 1 o'clock, NFL Insider on the NFL Network. It's brought to you by Hartley and Hartley Insurance and Zogs on Fox Island. Good luck with that golf lesson today. Hopefully it went better than the handling of your phone.
Yeah. We got jump cuts in this interview. Yeah. We were in the car. The thing overheated. I got a phone call. It knocked us. So you may be watching this and being like, all of a sudden he's outside.
How did he get outside when Puck asked him the question inside the car? He answered it outside of the car. It's the magic of video, folks. You're the best.
It's the magic of it's the magic of people.
That's right. Mike Garafolo, again, every Thursday. YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast. And, of course, at pucksports.com. Thanks, Mike.